Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves 6 tracks from an act named Cytonic Rhymes. And if we switch over to here, we've got ourselves a bunch of YouTube videos. We're going to be listening through each of those from start till finish. And we're going to hear what we think. Starting with Proud. Let's go, let's do this, man. What do we got? Oh, nice cute little guitar motif here to start us off.
When I'm all tied up in this mess, I get these feelings off my chest. My daddy told me to watch my head, cause the snakes in the grass gotta watch my step. But you made me
Really intense vocal modulation, but I quite like it. If you're gonna go for that kind of sound, go hard, you know. I like the sound of the drums as well alongside it. It's nice and airy tone to it. Oh, a little bit of distortion on those percussive elements there. It's kind of dope.
I can feel your love, it's coming down. I just wish that you'd be around, but you're here with me right now. And I know you're proud. Back when I was just a kid, tell me how I should be living. Tell me about controlling feelings. I won't show them how I'm feeling.
I think there's some double tracking going with a higher harmony. It's kind of dope. It's nice to have a different flow with a little bit less modulation or effects on the vocals. They're a bit more raw. Nice reverb tails and some of those other instruments as well.
When I'm all tied up in this mess, I get these feelings off of my chest. My daddy told me to watch my head, cause the snakes in the grass gotta watch my step. But you made me feel better when you was here for me. I wrote a letter about the things that you did for me. When you left life, it felt cold. Didn't know if I could cope. I can feel your love is coming down. I just wish that you'd be around, but you're here with me right now. And I know you're proud. You're the only one who knows me. Been a hard life, but you showed me how to move on, how to live strong. Beating on my biases and gotta hold on. Should've picked up.
I'm liking the little bits of variation with the percussion there on the hi-hats. I'm not really sort of commenting too much about the other parts because I think they've stayed the same throughout. We haven't had a lot of change with things going in and out. You know, it's been reasonably consistent compositionally layer-wise. Occasional vocal overdubs on the side as well. Actually, never mind, I take that back. You know, I've got everything kind of coming out here with a little sort of like little piano key up top on the right side there. It's nice to have the bass and drums come out at this part. Nice, a little bit of vocal fry as well on the clean vocals part there. That sounds like he's really missing his dad, you know? Oh, I get it. So the dad's passed away. That's obviously quite sad, you know. So I get the impression there that basically with the song Proud, the first track we listened to today from Cytonic Rhymes, it's about basically him regretting how things ended with his dad, and they, I suppose, never got to make amends, and so he's mourning the loss of that opportunity and the fact that his dad isn't there anymore. It makes sense with the backing there. It's a very sad sounding song. It's of loss, and again, the vocal fry I mentioned earlier indicates there is a real emotional connection there to the song from the vocalist. But now we've got Memories, track number 2. A little bit more upbeat. Still got a guitar direction with it, which is kind of dope. Okay. Okay, so this is a little more upbeat because we're talking about the memories we're making with our friends and everything like that. That's dope. Yeah, I can understand it. Tonally, it makes sense. Said an acoustic drum kit with some cymbals, some crashes earlier. Now we're going back to those trap and hip hop sample packs.
Hope the memories don't fade. Lights outside the lot. Laughing out loud, good times never stop.
It's kind of adorable, isn't it? You know, laughing out loud, you know, good times, hope they never stop. It's full of hope for the future, you know.
Not looking for the fame. Just let me join this game. Moonlight skies. I'm on cloud 99. Broke up the party still high. Standing by the time passing by. Memories lost, memories fade. I'm still the same. My memories deep in my head. Can't let it fade away. Cruising down roads. Where did the time go? Laying on the field of
So I suppose this is more talking about how those memories they were a while ago. We were enjoying them, but now things have changed.
make the memories last. Cruising down roads. Where did the time go? Laying on the field.
There's like a little synth sequencer there that adds a nice pace alongside the relative length of some of those fairy tales on the piano parts.
Winding roads, broken glass, hope the memories last. Hold tight, hold fast, won't let go of the past, making it all last. Keep the memories intact. I still believe, I still perceive, I still go on to achieve all the things I ever need. I aged my time, I lost my mind, can't go through the past, time moves so fast, all the memories inside my mind, can't forget the time.
There's a real desperation and angst there from Cytonic Rhymes there. And I really enjoy that part of the performance there. Not because I'm like stoked that he's unhappy, but it's because you can clearly hear that he's struggling with it, and that emotional authenticity there is really important. You need to understand and believe as a listener that the person that you're listening to cares about what they're singing about or what they're sort of, you know, what they're telling you. It makes sense. It's great.
Laying on the field of grass, make the memories last. Cruising down roads, where did the time go? Laying on the field of grass, make the memories last. Cruising down this road, on this empty road, only memories collide. All my friends by my side.
Charming. That's fantastic. No, really pretty song there. I don't think it rests on a specific conclusion there tonally. I think there's just a hope that these memories will last and they won't be forgotten. So I like that this the palette is slightly different emotionally than what we had previously. It's great to hear the range from Cytonic Rhymes there, and the combination of the glistening pianos alongside the bass and the drums and the bass response of it and stuff like that, and how things fluttered about. It's gorgeous. It's a nice song. There were Coffee and Cream, track number 3. We're loving our guitar-led stuff. I give it more than that vocal modulation is switching between the sides.
Coffee and cream, just one sip for me. You stole my heart, that's it for me. When I wake up, you're here for me. Yeah.
I do like the way that he's expressing himself there in terms of like the charisma of the performance there. He seems like he genuinely cares. I've said this multiple times. He seems like he cares about what he's singing about, whether it's memories of friends or, you know, loss of his father.
Just one sip for me. You stole my heart, that's it
The
for
claps
me.
are an interesting
When I
tone.
wake up, you're
They make sense. I suppose they don't want to get too bass heavy at this point, especially when we've got an 808 coming in like that. That little flutter there, a little riser there, that whoosh there to go into a new section. Nice little transitory device, additional device. It's very busy though. I'm wondering if we could have had less at some points and kind of edged ourselves into the song a little more smoothly. It would be cool if we just stopped it after 3 of the coffee and cream part here as an unexpected thing for the listener. Oh, we're doing 4. That's okay. Because people are used to, I think people are often expect 4 times of a hook section. So if you do it 3, people get taken by surprise. And it's equally effective, you know. I don't usually comment on the videos that I watch just simply because I'm not as knowledgeable about video production, but the detail to this specific shot here with all the little bubbles is phenomenal. I'm incredibly impressed with the attention to detail there, and the shot there is fantastic.
I love you girls, chocolate too. I love your skin, the way that you move. I need some
the color toning there, color grading, should I say, with that focus on the browns and everything like that for the coffee and cream kind of vibe is fantastic. It's really good video.
coffee and cream, you make me go thick. You just the reason that I believe we on the team. This coffee and cream, you shine and gleam. That's all that you mean. Hey, coffee and cream, just one sip for me. You stole my heart.
Nice panning of that little scintillator on the right there. Kind of floats out in the ether in a place that's unexpected.
When I wake up, you here for me. Yeah, coffee and cream, just one sip for me. You stole my heart, that's it for me. When I wake up, you here for me, oh baby. I love the way that you shake it. I love the way you're so warm. Without you, I'm just late.
It's interesting that we had the hi-hats in that same position as that other sort of synth lead on the right. To me personally, it would have made more sense to have had the synth lead be on the other side to allow the hi-hat to have its own position and then occasional synth lead to fill out the others. Because if you're going to have repeaters on the vocals with delays where they go to both sides anyways, you know what I mean? It's just a very subjective thing. It's not necessarily a complaint.
I love the way you're so warm. Without you, I'm just lazy. Coffee gives love. Coffee and cream, coffee and cream, cream. Coffee and cream, coffee and cream, 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 cream. Coffee and cream, coffee and cream, cream. Coffee and cream, coffee and cream, 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 cream.
Oh, and those vocal chops at the end with a little bit of legato feel of them are fantastic. That's charming. These are very pleasant, palatable songs to listen to. They've got these contemporary sort of pop aesthetics with like the modulation of some of the hip hop and rap of the 2010s. That's good. It makes sense. You know, I can follow along to it. You know, it's nicely produced as well. I think this track though was about someone who was admiring a woman saying they're the coffee and cream. They're the thing that keeps them awake. Otherwise, they'd be lazy. They wouldn't have the motivation to do stuff, you know? That's the kind of power that they have over them. Or that's the kind of motivation that this woman gives the guy singing. Drifting Minds. Official music video. Juice WRLD.
Time is drifting in my mind, driving me up inside, losing my sight.
Yeah, we're really enjoying these like cicada chirpy hi-hats, aren't we?
In my mind, all worlds collide. It's painful inside, breaking me inside. I thought I was free, but I'm blind.
This is an incredibly sad one again, isn't it? Is this about Juice WRLD? Did Juice WRLD pass away? I'm not sure. Hang on a minute. R.I.P. Juice WRLD. Oh, okay. Right. So this was released around the time where Juice WRLD passed away. Okay, well that makes sense then. This is kind of like a tribute, you know?
Every time I look into your eyes,
A really buzzy kind of, really crispy 808 there is really charming to listen to. I enjoy the sound of that. It's a texture we haven't really had yet. We've been relatively conservative with the aggression of our low end basses, but I like that this is a bit more fizzy, you know? There's a real grief to the way that this that Cytonic is expressing himself here. It's even when we're talking about somewhat happy stuff. I mean, I just get the impression that Cytonic is quite, and I say this in a kind way. I'd say this in a kind way because I think it is a good thing. Like, they're very comfortable with expressing their feelings and emotions, and I like that. I know sometimes people say, oh, don't be emotional, etc. But I think that as a musician, you have to show and express a little bit of vulnerability. Otherwise, no one is going to relate. You've got this kind of twisted, double-edged sword where you've got to find the right amount of yourself to put into a track in order for people to relate to it. So then they see you, they realize that you're just like them, but you've just got a story they want to hear. And then overdoing it to the point where they don't want you, they want someone who is like you, but less kind of whatever. It's a weird situation, but...
And you left me to die. I'll never forgive you. Now it's time to say goodbye.
I just use a vibrato there with legato take on vocals.
You called me a loser just to fool me, and I thought you really loved me, but you were using me. And I thought you...
I mean, like, this sounds like someone has been taken advantage of, someone who's been ripped to shreds, someone who's been stomped on. That's the impression that I get from the song Drifting Minds. I like the head voice transitions there. They flutter in the sky.
It's all inside my mind. I'm running out of time, trying to find a reason why the time has come to say goodbye. Just when I thought I couldn't make it through the night, I should have known you were wrong and I was right. You were nothing more than a gold digger. In plain sight, drifting minds, drifting time. It's all inside my mind. I'm running out of time, trying to find a reason why the time has come to say goodbye. Get out of my mind, get out of my sight. I don't need this in my life.
Okay, yeah, I think it is about someone who's just gotten to the point at the end there with the motif that stayed reasonably consistent throughout. Like, it was a reasonably neutral sounding backing, but the vocals told the story of someone who just really wanted to just escape from that toxic sort of connection, for better or worse, you know? Get out of my mind. They're getting like their head screwed with by this other person. It is a sad song, for sure, though. It is really important to try and find support if you end up in a toxic situation like that. I mean, I don't know anything about what happened to Juice WRLD, but obviously you just got to try and take care of yourself. Got track number 5 though, Mr. Generous. Don't know why this is in this is in 1080p HD.
Me and a friend standing up in the light.
There's a little bit of pixelation on the video. I'm not sure why that is.
Looking down, looking in. Where did it all begin? A generous about no sin. And this is how it all began. My friend, where you at? How you been? We hang out a lot when we on since then. Keep in touch.
So like we've got ourselves a situation where we have a similar sounding sort of sample kit of like the kicks, the claps, and then the hi-hats. Got the really boomy kind of 808s there. The guitar melodies as well. Catchy motif being repeated. Some hammer-ons or pull-offs there.
19 years old, went to university. I was alone, didn't know how I was gonna be. Met you in class and boy did it suck deep. I was in the front and you were in the backseat. We had an exam and you wanted me to let you cheat. Couldn't let you and you got angry with me. We started up a fire, but the flames didn't leave. We became friends at the spot. Hanged out and laughed and broke all the rules. Couldn't forget all these memories. It was all jewels.
Okay, so is this similar to the song Memories that we heard earlier? Is there a connection there between these two thematically?
As we graduated, went to our separate ways. I not thought it was cool. We both started changing, and I would say thank you, my friend. Where you at? How you been? We hang out a lot when we on since then. Keep in touch. Maybe call me. It's been way too long since then, my friend. Where you at? How you been? We hang out a lot when we on since then. Keep in touch. Maybe call me. It's been way too long since then. As my dad passed away back in 2007, I was left shouting sick up to heavens. But you were there for me, helped me and so giving.
Okay, so again, we've got a similar kind of way of approaching this where we have the bass elements drop out and this interlude section there for a bit of extra information here. And it just kind of floats there nice and sweetly. It's a weird thing because like it sounds like it should be a sad situation because we're mourning it. Is it bittersweet because we had the good times with the person in the first place?
You gave me advice and told me to keep living. You stood up for me at the university town hall meeting.
Because it's a really calm, soothing chord progression with the tone of those guitars as well.
I was crazy for speaking, but you were there for me, told me I'm right. All that you did for me helped me out right. I'm grateful for you this time. You brought me back on side. You helped me out through the hard times. So I'm saying, thank my friend. Where you at? How you been? We hang out a lot when we on since then. Keep in touch. Maybe call me.
I guess, yeah, there's this consistency with the vocal fry where I'm not sure it's because of the vocal modulation or not, but it sounds like we're constantly like calling out for this person. We're desperate to invigorate the lost relationship or friendship that we've had there. Things just became too chaotic, you know, too decrepit, should I say. So I think this track was basically about, just before we do the final track, so we're just blowing through these. This final track, the second to last track, should I say, is about someone who just, they met and they got through all the hard times together, but then things just kind of fell to bits a little bit, He talks about like when his dad passed away and other memory parts here. So there's these themes that are being discussed between tracks, which I like because it helps connect this story together and weaves the tapestry, it makes it more believable and easy to follow and articulate. And I think that's a positive thing. I don't know if the music has given me enough personality to really get behind it, whether that's a deliberate thing or not. Maybe there's a bittersweet kind of neutrality to it on purpose. Maybe we're like trying to make it so the story is the main thing that it sort of communicates the sorrow or something like that. Maybe we're afraid of committing too much to a bit on either side of the harmonic spectrum. I'm not sure, but finally, track number 6, we got the Galaxy Express. Okay, so we've got more filtered guitar parts or more filtered key parts. Really pretty, charming music box like vibe.
Galaxy Express, Galaxy Express. Can't you hear me? Take me out of this mess. Take it from me, it's intense. You came like a whirlwind inside of my head. Galaxy Express, Galaxy Express. Can't you hear me? Take me out of this mess.
I think musically it works well. We've reached the top of the bell curve here. I don't know how things have become more intense. It just will be interesting to see what we do here. I mean, the problem is that I can kind of either predict it. Either we'll continue with this level of perceived intensity and loudness, or we will bring it down and we'll remove some bass elements.
Take it from me, it's intense. You came like a whirlwind inside of my head. Life has its ups and
Remove the bass
downs.
elements.
I gotta get my feet on solid ground. I've been down for too long. Deep inside, I'll be here when you're gone. If you can't hear me, then you gotta move on. I keep the music playing on and on and on. Play till the break of dawn, until my feelings is gone. Your words are a weapon, and I can't control myself. I just wanna feel alive again. I don't wanna be in love again. I'm running out of breath.
The story continues. We haven't really got pauses where you can just really appreciate what's going on in the background after the verse part starts.
Demons in my head, can't get them out of my head. So many voices in my head. I'm just a walking dead.
I mean, like, it's very authentic. It sounds like he's really struggling psychologically at this point in time.
Take me out of this mess. Take it from me, it's intense. You came like a whirlwind inside of my head. Galaxy Express, Galaxy Express. Can't you hear me? Take me out of this mess. Take it from me, it's intense. You came like a whirlwind inside of my head. Woke up, broke and messed up. I'll never forget the way you used to care about us. The way you used to tell me that you love me. Now it's getting harder to breathe. Oh, maybe it's my own disease. This is my only release. I just wanna be free, leaving the past behind me. That's the way it's supposed to be. Give me something to move on and be free. I'm in the trap with my own things, looking for a trap house to own a whole scene. Working for a scheme, now I really wanna scream. I can feel it in my bones and it makes me wanna scream. Maybe it's a bad dream and there's nothing I've seen. So tell me, what does it mean? Galaxy Express, Galaxy Express. Can't you hear me? Take me.
There's a lot going on. For the vast majority of the song, is constant vocals. I know that we're trying to tell a story with this stuff, and I understand that part of this vocal-oriented stuff, especially in like contemporary pop music, rap and hip-hop, etc., trap stuff, it's all about a story. You got guitar parts, or keys, or synths, or bass, or drums. You got all these other instruments that could have a change in the groove that's more than just a slight change in the tail of it. That's more than just taking something away for there to be adaptation, for there to be a shift in the intensity for the listener. You could potentially have had like a guitar solo bit over here. You could have had like a little synth melody change here. You could have potentially had extra guitar layers here. You could have done a lot with this. I think that, when these tracks are like 3 minutes, you have room, at least 30 seconds, a nice little interlude, nice little kind of gap where you just have the other parts do something to carry the weight of the song. Because what I've learned from this track so far, these 6 tracks, is that our main pull is trying to tell a story,
Take it from me, it's intense. You came like a whirlwind inside of my head. Galaxy Express, Galaxy Express. Can't you hear me? Take me out of this mess. Take it from me, it's intense. You came like a whirlwind inside of my head. Galaxy Express. Take me out of this mess. It's intense.
It's kind of sad because I know that we really care about the music we're making. That passion is really obvious. Because this is the conclusion of my review of Cytonic Rhymes, and there are 6 tracks we've listened to today. I mean, what I think these tracks are about, I think they're about Cytonic Rhymes. They're about his experiences, his life, losing his dad, the memories he made with friends that have passed away, the things that caused the issues in them, the people that he's been attracted to or been in relationships with, when people are inside their head and screwing with them, etc., wanting to get away from toxic environments. That stuff is all apparent. This is an album, or this is a set of tracks that are about Cytonic Rhymes. He wanted to tell us about himself. And he did. We learned about himself. The stories, a lot of them are relatable. I'm sure a lot of people will listen to this and go, oh, I can also kind of relate to this, so they might appreciate it for that. And if you do want to hear more about what Cytonic Rhymes is all about, you get that authenticity here. It seems real, you know. To be explicitly clear, you do not always get that authenticity with musicians. A lot of the time, you might get people who are simply not leaving all of it in, but I think you get that here. You get the angle that's sort of truthful and honest to the point they're in at the time, and it's great. I don't know. I mean, like, the vocals are fine as well. Like, I enjoyed the vocal timbre and the sound of them. We had that consistently similar throughout. There were points of either incredible amounts of vocal modulation, like autotune and metatune, and then we had slightly less of it with a little bit of a reverb tail on it with some overdubs occasionally, some vocal chops that were more sort of a synth thing, where we were kind of shouting out or kind of telling these stories or trying to sort of communicate and express them. It was very intense, but I can't fault him for that. I think that's great. I think it's good. Put all your heart into it, you know, it's fantastic. And I mean, the tracks at 2 to 4 minutes were the sweet spot for length, right in that middle point. You know, I've got no complaints about that. We're clearly very aware about what works in the industry. It's good. It's good. Like, honestly, I think the length of it is fine. And the instrument choices here, you know, with the drums, the bass, guitar, synths, 808s, you know, some other sort of parts here, they're fantastic, you know, alongside the vocal chops and other layers there, double tracking occasionally. And there was clearly effort put in to make these tracks unique and interesting. And I think that the tone of the various motifs, where there are sort of triads or extensions there alongside the bass lines that follow the root notes, really we're dedicated to that. Alongside the percussion, where there was a lot of range, there were lots of different 8th, quarters, 16th, and triplet notes. You know, they were fine, but the thing for me is that you could have literally just changed one of the bass lines in each of the choruses in the song, or even half of them, and made them more interesting. Because to me, no matter how good the story is, no matter how good the vocals are, no matter how short the song is, you've got to want to listen for that 3 minutes. And I feel as if we could have had an even more enjoyable time if we'd had some different bass lines or different chord progressions per part of the song. At least for half of them, you know, like, yeah, I know that it's like a fashionable thing at the moment to just have one idea, kind of have it go throughout. But if you want to get like a wider audience, if you're trying to sort of like have your own sound, quote unquote, having one sort of tone throughout is not it. There are thousands of rappers doing that. The way to become unique is to do something very different. And a really different thing at the moment is simply having more than one chord progression or musical idea within the same song. That is so different. Like, it's a breath of fresh air as a music reviewer. I have so many rap and hip hop artists bring in a song with one backing and one accompaniment idea, and it's if it sounds cool, it's cool. But if it doesn't sound cool, you're screwed. And the problem is that it's subjective a lot of the time, because we've gotten to a point with a lot of production now where it's damn near it's flawless in regards to the chord progressions we're using. You can get like plugins to give you hundreds, if not thousands, of chord progression variations. You know, it's not difficult to get a chord progression sorted anymore. It's all about the sounds and the tones you use. And unless you're finding your own sounds, it's very difficult. I like the way that Cytonic Rhymes did his vocals in here. I think it was reasonably unique there. The timbre and the texture of his voice was what stood out to me. I think that there was a real kind of push towards neutrality there tonally. The first 2 songs were happy or sad kind of, but like the rest of them were kind of complicated. It made sense with the subject matter, but at the same time, I just didn't really feel anything. You know, when you do get that bittersweet sort of tonality to it with the chord progressions or whatever, you're relying on the vocals to take you there. And because the vocals were so constant, I was sitting there basically listening to the vocals instead of really appreciating the rest of the song. You know, the production recording, I just wish there'd been like other instrumental parts on top. I'm not saying it's bad. I could just see room for improvement for next time. You know, like I'm not going to say that this is the best track that I've heard this year, because they're not bad. There's just things we could have done differently to improve them. Like maybe had like a dedicated alternative lead voice or melody that was in the center field sometimes. Had points where there weren't as much vocals. Have the tracks go an extra 30 seconds and just have that little bit of spice in there, something different for the listener to absorb rather than story. And you know, especially if we're going to do hook parts 4 times in a row. The production, recording, mixing, and mastering is fine. It's honestly damn near flawless. I like the sound of the vocals alongside the other elements, the bass, drums, the guitars, double track to the sides, the synths, etc., and little whooshies and little builds. There was no issues with the production. It's commercial grade. It's just there's something missing, and I think there just needs to be more of a defined emotional direction for these tracks. I think we need to try and look at each song individually and go, right, what kind of texture does this need? How do we make this one unique and special? How do we make this track something that a person's going to remember? I will remember the stories that were told because they were good stories, but I don't know if I'm going to remember the music behind them. And that's a shame. It's good music. It just didn't speak to me. And apart from the first 2 songs, and maybe the Juice WRLD one with like the really fizzy kind of 808 bass, it was really kind of aggressive and kind of a kick in the teeth. I just don't know about the rest. It was nice and loud of pumping, no weird resonances in the frequency spectrum, nice and wide stereo field. This is my review of Cytonic Rhymes' various tracks. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show these various musicians and artists bands some love via the various social medias and a YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe. Please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.